Okay. Hmm. All right, perfect. Okay, hello everyone. Hello, hello. This is Chrisa. I'm the founder and teacher of Bautanz Constructing Dance. And you can see us today from Zoom and from YouTube. So if you see me stopping at any moment, would be for me to let people in the Zoom on the Zoom platform. So if I stop, you guys keep going. So don't stop. So what we're going to be working on today is a continuation of the work we started last time, which was on changes of direction and balance. So basically, it is easy to find and feel balanced when we are not moving or when we have established a direction and we keep that direction. But things happen when we actually start changing our direction. And that's where we start to experience a few problems. So that's what we started working on last time, which was about a month ago in our previous online get-together. This time, we're going to throw the the pivot into the mix. So we're gradually going to do that. We're going to be focusing more on pivots, more on how you add that rotation, basically. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today or tonight, wherever it depends where you guys are at. So let's see. Let me just adjust YouTubers so you can see me once I'm going to stand. Let me see. I think that should do it. Yeah. Okay, perfect. And we, as per usual, we always start with a song. If you don't like my music, feel free to mute me and start and put a song that you like on. We're just gonna be warming up, so just enjoy. Don't start thinking of the context of the theme of today's get together. Just enjoy the dance. So just preparing to start the practice. That's what this warm-up in quotes is about. Let's go here. This is interesting. I cannot hear it. Fantastic. Minor technical difficulties. Okay. Let's try this again. It does not want. Interesting. Okay. Let's go.
Déjame mentir decir que volverás con el ayer de nuestro sueño. Déjame esperarte nada más, ya que comprendo que esperar es un pedazo de recuerdo. Sé que este dolor es el dolor de comprender que no puede ser esa esperanza que me ahora. Deja de llorar, siempre llorar, y recordarte y esperar y comprender que no venderás. ¿Qué te importa que te llore? ¿Qué te importa que me mienta? Si ha quedado roto mi castillo del ayer, déjame hacer un dios con sus pedazos. ¿Qué te importa lo que sufro? ¿Qué te importa lo que lloro? Si no puede ser aquel ayer de la ilusión, déjame así, llorando nuestro amor. ¿Qué te importa lo que sufro? ¿Qué te importa lo que lloro? Si no puede ser aquel ayer de la ilusión, déjame así, llorando nuestro amor.
Okay, let's pause. Okay, perfect. So let's start with a little exercise that is just for us to find balance. And I know we did this last time. It's just a reminder for us who were here and for those of you being here for the first time. So let's get started on that, and then we're gonna play another song and explore a little bit more. So here we go. Let's see there. Fantastic. So what I want you to play with, and we've spent a little bit of time trying to find that, is the position of the pelvis. So instead, just find a position that you are, it's your go-to position, your default when you're dancing. So whichever that is, you find that position. And actually, before we get to the pelvis, I want you to start by adjusting your feet. So adjusting the base. If you're used to having your feet very close together, try to see if you can find exactly the alignment between your heel and your sit bones, which are right at the base of the pelvis. You will feel in this way that your pelvis is sitting right over your heels. That's the idea. Another way to find it is this. If you pull your foot close in and slightly across, this is where the sit bones are. So you can release and you can find the heel right under your sit bone. If you want to go for that one, go for it. Once you found it, let me turn this way. Once you found it, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna feel a little bit easier to get grounded. So the feeling we're looking for is this connection to the ground without having to apply extra push. So more like yielding than pushing. So try to find it, give yourselves a little bit of time. And that's the first adjustment, possibly. Maybe you were already there, but that's the first adjustment. Then the second adjustment, start with playing with the pelvis and tilting it back and then tilting it forward. So tilting it back and then tilting it forward. And you're gonna feel that at the two ends, you're gonna feel there is an end here. You cannot go any further. And then there is another end there, which you will notice that you have a lot more flexion compared to extension. The extension is a little bit more limited. So you can allow yourself to kiss the edges. So there is acknowledgement in that, but try not to every time make a point that you've reached the end. You can kiss the edges, but then try to become aware of it and let it be. And now once we're there, I want you to keep going with this tilting. And now notice the path from one end all the way to the other end. So notice the path, one end to the other end, one end to the other end. And you keep going, keep going. There we go. Okay. All right. And you keep doing this movement. You start to notice that other things in the body are adjusting. So your torso wants to come in as well when you press through and it becomes part of this flexion. You let it happen, just acknowledge it. We're not going to focus on that at the moment. Your knees also want to bend, and the opposite happens when you are going for the extension. And now as you keep going with this movement, I want you to acknowledge the middle and keep going, the middle and keep going, the middle and keep going, the middle and keep going. You'll notice that when you hit the middle, it's as if you don't need to do any extra work. Things are very easy when you hit the middle. It's just fantastic. You're like, oh, that's a fantastic point. And it might need more time than what we have here, but you can try this exercise multiple times until you find a middle that feels good. So there is comfort. You feel that you are relaxed, so you're not working extra hard. You don't need to squeeze or push or pull anything. You are ready to move, so you're not letting go. And your breathing is flowing comfortably. So your breathing pattern is not inhibited. So if you found this spot, hopefully you have settled there. There we go. And the magic question. Okay, say we found it. What do we do? How do we start moving? And this is the key. You have to find the same relationship, meaning you're relaxed, ready to move, and not inhibiting your breathing when you shift over one foot and over the other foot. Over one foot and over the other. So we're going to put a song on, and this is what I would like to invite you to do. You find your position, you start shifting from side to side. When you feel ready, I want you to extend, cross, so you test and step. So this way. You go from side to side, you settle, you test, and you step. If you want to go to a back step, you have the option to cross at the front and then go back. Or of course, if you like, you can cross at the back and then go back. So up to you, totally what you would like to do. Take your time And notice one thing, when you're doing the embellishment, are you going back to, oh, I have to hold everything together? Is that extra movement doing something to your balance? If it does, do you have another option to deal with it instead of tensing up? So we want to maintain this relaxation, and which is combined with the readiness to move, because as you can understand, when you're relaxed, you're more responsive. You're not glued to one spot like when you are overly engaging and holding, and therefore you can be a better leader or partner, generally a better partner for your partner. So you're more responsive, you're gonna get into the movement with a lot more confidence and ease, and at the same time you are relaxed, so you're not wasting on energy where it's not necessary. So let's put the next song on and dance. Oops. So and let's do one more like this, only this time this is what we're going to be doing. Let's be a little bit more, if you were doing a lot of shifts in between, great. Try now to see if you can have more of a flow, but with the embellishment. So if say I'm just coming up with stuff, you don't need to follow this pattern, right? So you take a step forward, and then maybe you do a lapis and you cross and you go to the side, and then you cross back. Maybe you're changing, across it, and you go forward, back, side. any combination that you like. So with a little bit more flow, if you need to take pauses, if you need the pauses in between, like you're feeling unstable as you're taking your step, you're feeling that this the shift of weight is somehow you're losing control or it's becoming extra challenging, you throw that shift of weight in between just to use it as a reset. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. Why not?
Ha plateado la luna el riachuelo y hay un barco que vuelve del mar con un dulce pedazo de cielo, con un viejo puñado de sal, golondrina perdida en el viento, porque calle remota andará con un vaso de alcohol y de miedo tras el vidrio empañado de un pan. La cantina llora siempre que te evoca cuando toca piano, piano su acordeón en italiano. La cantina es un poco de la vida donde estabas escondida tras el hueco de mi mano, que te llama silenciosa, mariposa que al volar me dejó sobre la boca, sí, me dejó sobre la boca su salado gusto a amar. Tarantela del barco italiano, la cantina se ha puesto feliz, pero siento que llora lejano tu recuerdo vestido de gris. La cantina llora siempre que te evoca cuando toca piano, piano su acordeón. El italiano.
All right. Perfect. Says pause. Okay. So a couple of things before we get going. So we're gonna stick with these embellishments that have to do with the free leg wrapping around basically the standing leg, and that is because it's going to help us with a pivot. But before we get to that, let's see exactly how it works stacking things over one axis. So basically going from 2 feet to over to 1 foot. So let's start with the one observation. This is a key observation because it is very important. We do not have square joints. and we do not have square and straight bones. So everything is like in a curve and like a ball and socket or a bowl like our pelvis is. So the question is, how do you balance a bowl like the pelvis over a ball and socket condition that is basically the hip joint? Very simplifying our anatomy here. So let's try the traditional way, where what happens when you go from here to here, very square, and you try not to change anything aside from stacking the weight. And you'll notice immediately that once you've, as you finish half and towards the end of the shift of weight, you'll notice immediately your core grabbing, right? So there you have a hold, and it might be helpful in a specific context, but then if you try to move from here, there is a delay, and there's also, it might feel a little bit disconnected what you're doing in the upper body compared to the legs. And also you might start feeling that you're holding your breath. So we want to work exactly in the opposite way, because what we are trying to do is create balance, which means the forces going through our joints, in this case the hip joint, but also the knee and the ankle, would be balanced. So we won't have shear forces such as this. So that's number one. So we want the balance, and we don't want the hold, because we want to be able to be flexible and quick in our responses. So safe and quick in one. So let's see. Imagine this bowl, and imagine the ball and socket situation that we have in our hips. And now I want you to start shifting the weight over to one foot, but glide around this the femur head, the ball part of this joint. So it's almost like this. Almost like this. So your pelvis is hugging, and I want you to shift your weight and glide over this femur head. Let's go. Let's try it out. So instead of just going sideways, you're gonna start to glide around. And again, you're gonna find a position where everything just fits. And for the essence, because the time is of the essence, I'm going to give you the tips. The free hip, let's say I'm going from my right to my left. So my free hip, my right hip, will be slightly lifted, part of the glide. So it will be slightly lifted and slightly rotating away. Slightly. Let's try it together. You can also hold on to something and close your eyes, and that will give you, will allow you to access a little bit with a little bit more ease, because you don't have anything else to use for balance. So there is a slight lift, and there's also a little bit of a rotation towards the back. On the other side, actually no, both knees and both hips are in flexion. So we don't have this. Can you create it? Of course you can, but here we're talking efficiency, right? So style, two different things. So can you create it? Yes, you can, but that's not the focus of our work at the moment. And then in the upper body, we see that the upper body is focusing on the free leg, and that there is a gentle tendency to go towards that hip. So there is a little bit of a side reach. So we have lift, reach, rotate, rotate. And that is for our standing hip to glide over, that femur head. So when in this position, and you can exaggerate it and you're going to end up in a different dance, but if we make it teeny tiny small, but you still feel this gliding and reshaping, and now you'll notice that you're balanced, your muscles are engaged, but not overly engaged so that they're not creating a hold. And you should be able to cross. And as you're crossing, you are reshaping again. So it's not one thing that we hold, it's something that allows us to reshape. Right? In order to prepare and do the movement that we want to do. Right? And notice that the body also changes orientation as the free leg is doing its thing. And if you're standing over one leg, hopefully doing exactly what I'm doing, following along, switch over and find that glide again. Let's do a couple of these just for you to find it. If you were on the right, go on the left. If you were on the left, go on the right. Yeah. Good. Settle over the opposite leg. Notice again. Notice also there's no, there shouldn't be discomfort or pain in this hip. If there is, allow for your body to adjust. And again, start moving. And as you're moving the free leg, you are reshaping. You are reshaping. Let's do a couple more. Reshaping, reshaping, reshaping. Okay. Last one. Good. So we're going to put the music back on. I want us to play with this element and doing a lot of these on the spot. When you're ready, you shift your weight, either going forward or going to the side or going to the back. And one extra element, I want you to rotate, or better said, I want you to change your direction without doing your obvious classic ocho. Option one would be, obviously, right? Option two, you walk around it. And this is actually a very nice embellishment. I don't know if you're doing it. A very nice variation of ochos. So maybe you have already used it. Or better. Something like that. Come up with anything other than your classic, well-known ochos. Just play with it. Focus on the first part of the exercise, though. That's the most important part. We're going to be playing with pivots more through the second part of this class.
una noche de falsa alegría, tus ojos claros volví a recordar. Y entre los tangos y la algarabía, busqué febril tu recuerdo matar. Recordaba mi vida sin igual, que a vos sola mi vida consagré. Pero ingrata te fuiste sin mi mal, triste y solo cobarde, oh tesorera, la ilusión de mi vida toda, mi alegría y mi pasión mala. Yo que te quise por buena y en tus dulces labios pena me he quemado el corazón. Linda muñequita mimosa, siempre en mi corazón está. Nena, acordate de la pena que me dio tu boca loca cuando dijo nunca más. Linda muñequita mimosa, siempre en mi corazón está. Nena, acordate de la pena que me dio tu boca loca cuando dijo nunca más.
All right. And let's hit pause. Okay. So, and let's keep adding to this. So let's do a little exercise together where we want to work on the timing of the pivot, when you do your pivot. So this is what we're going to be working on. I'm thinking, yeah, I can do a couple of them this way. So finding your position, then you cross back, you uncross, you step forward. Cross, uncross, step forward. Cross, and notice how when you're coming here, it's a perfect opportunity to do a pivot. Let me go this way so you can see that where the body is in that specific point. So you cross here. Your body is starting to unscrew, for lack of a better word. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 steps going forward, just simple steps, and then 2 pivots, and then we're going to reverse. So let's start. Cross, step, cross, and you want to use this position of how your body and your leg are starting to readjust, and you're reshaping this position to pivot. Step, and here too. Cross, pivot. One more just to come square. And then change over to the other side. Let's go again. Just going forward, then we're going to go to the back. Cross, step, cross, step. This time, cross, as you're uncrossing, start to notice what's happening. And then one more to come back to, oops, center. So we're going to do more of these, but let me explain. There are a couple of things. When you're taking the step, this moment is like the engine of the step. This last little push that you take in order to take that next step. That involves a little bit of the back heel kicks back a little bit so that you're, ideally, that is, so some of us might need to work on that as well on its own, but what happens when you do that, it's like the engine of your walk, and you keep on going. Then also you avoid ending up with the hips like this, under and falling back, right? So if this is a position that you're struggling with, then maybe you need to go back to this spot, and instead of coming under, you kick back and you come over. Instead of, so this, instead of this. Exaggerating just so you can see it over the camera. So this motion, this part is part of how people walk. This is not something we do for tango. So this is how people walk. We want to take advantage of this moment to change our direction. So cross, cross. So I want you to pass multiple times from this. That's why we're crossing back, because you need to allow for, it's almost like you're extra charging this. Back and step. Let me turn this way again. Back and step. Could you come under? Yes, I guess you could, but it will feel like you're getting very stuck. Instead, if you go over, it will be a lot easier to get to uncross, the legs to uncross. Again, exaggerating so you can see it through the web. So here, going through this multiple times, pivot. That's, just to drill in the timing. Make sure that your ochos are traveling, so you're not doing big ones. Can you? Yes, of course you can. That's just that I would like us to focus more on when we're getting into the pivot and less on the pivot itself. So here we go. Forward, and then we're going to look at the back. Mm-hmm.
Tarareando voy por la vida, tarareando tarareando. Y aunque sangre por una herida, a flor de labios tengo cantar. Y es que me muerde el corazón la pena o el rencor, olvido con mi canción. Tarareando voy por la vida, porque así la vivo mejor. Tarareando las penas voy ocultando y aunque me estén lastimando, con mi tarareo las voy olvidando. Si me ha engañado un amor, tarararí, o algún amigo falló, tararará, aunque yo viva sufriendo, nunca sabrán mi dolor. Si me va bien, tararí, si me va mal, tarararí.
Okay. Okay. So we did the forward, but you'll notice that at this moment, you could be doing back. Like you don't have to be doing forward necessarily. And this is the important part. I know that we have, this is almost like a parenthesis, and we're going to get to it. Usually, we have certain patterns that we follow in tango, right? You go to the side, and then you do a back, or you go, I don't know, back, cross, and then you do a forward. Right? Different patterns that we come up with. The idea, though, is that from any step, you can have an ocho, you can have a pivot. So any step, if you have prepared your leaders, if you have prepared your partner properly, followers, if you are able to adjust, then every step can potentially be a pivot, can potentially be an ocho. Every shift of weight can be followed by a rotation, basically. That's the idea. So, but for that to happen, we need to time it properly, and that's what we're working on today. So for keeping things, just to keep things interesting, we're going to be doing forward in this way. So let's do it together. Forward, forward, maybe we can fit two more. Forward and center, and now cross front, front, and go back step, cross front, and go back step, cross front, and pivot, cross front, and pivot. I'm just gonna come right here so you can see. So what happens? You've already set yourself up in this position. You found this gliding element. Sorry, hey, the head's getting chopped off. You found this gliding element. You found your position here. You're comfortable. When you cross, you don't want to keep the body out of it. And one of the questions that we usually get is, don't we have to do this silently so our partner doesn't know? So, of course, you don't want to be taking your partner with you, but this you can minimize it through the embrace, through the arms. Maybe this is another workshop. The other element, though, is your partner does need to know that you are doing something, or they will not give you the time for it. They will keep going. So you need to, see the embellishments are as a check of whether you are in sync. Okay. So that's my answer. There we go. So when you do that, you wouldn't be moving as one block in the upper body. If you have your arms up, or as a leader here, you would allow your body to move within the frame, and you would adjust in the elbows and in the shoulders. I invite you to try that in our next song. But what happens here in terms of torso and hips is that the torso will wrap around, and you'll have a little bit of a rotation and a little bit of a side bend. And once you're unwrapped, it's easier to go over to the other side. That's why we're doing it. So forward, it's the same thing. Rotation and a little bit of a side reach. And so mixing and matching, forward steps, forward ochos, back steps, back ochos. Here we go. Go for it.
Cuando dijo adiós, quise llorar. Luego, sin su amor, quise gritar. Todos los ensueños que albergó mi corazón, toda mi ilusión cayeron a pedazos. Pronto volveré, dijo al partir. Loco la esperé, pobre de mí. Y hoy que tanto tiempo ha transcurrido sin volver, siento que he perdido su querer. Jamás retornarás, lo dice el alma mía, y en esta soledad te nombro noche y día. Porque te fuiste de mi lado y tanto las destrozado, mi corazón jamás retornará, lo dice el alma mía, y aunque muriendo está, te espera sin cesar.
Okay. There. Okay. So let's see. How does time fly? I don't understand. Okay. So okay. One last thing that I want to leave you with, and then we're gonna end with a song. So let's use what we did in the previous class, and you can find the recording of that, by the way, on YouTube. Let's use that And we did a lot of rebounds in that one. So rebounds during your pivot, using it to almost, let me just turn this way, using it almost to flush through this movement. So basically, when you are in the ocho, what we tend to do is lock everything up and then try to do this, which is very aggressive. All of a sudden, the whole dance changes. So instead of doing that, you want to allow, let me do it this way so you can see. You want to allow for this game that we were talking about before. And you can minimize, so it's not pushing and pulling your partner. You can minimize that through the shoulders and the elbows. So there is still this expansion before you let go of that free leg and it passes through. So let's combine rebounds, ochos, and those embellishments. It can look something like this, So for example, you say you do this, and then you do your rebound, and you feel it here. Even if you're going straight, you feel this play with a little bit of a heel back kicking, and you come through. You can use it to rotate a little bit if you want to play. You can use it to pivot, and you use it in the ocho. So instead of going straight for the step and pivoting, use it here. Same thing if you're going into back ochos. It might actually be a little bit difficult. So here, when you're going back, you have a kick of the toes. So it's not falling under. Might be a little bit difficult to cross and do that, but pick and choose. Pick and choose your battle. So rebounds, find that back heel kick or front toe kick. Crossing, and ochos, forward and back. Here we go.
La vi llegar, caricia de su mano breve. La vi llegar, alondra que azotó la nieve. Tu amor, pude decirle, se funde en el misterio de un tango acariciante que gime por los dos. Y el bandoneón rezongo amargo en el olvido. Lloró su voz, que se quebró en la densa bruma, y en la desesperanza tan cruel como ninguna, la vi partir sin la palabra del adiós. Era mi mundo de ilusión, lo supo el corazón, que aún recuerda siempre su extravío. Era mi mundo de ilusión y se perdió de mí, sumándome en la sombra del dolor. Hay un fantasma en la noche interminable, hay un fantasma que ronda en mi silencio. Es el recuerdo de su voz, latir de su canción, la noche de su olvido y su rencor. Y el bandoneón con esa voz que la llamó desde el olvido, y en este desencanto brutal que me condena, la vi partir sin la palabra del adiós.
Okay. And with that, we have reached the end of our workshop for today. There's going to be another one in January. One thing I want to leave you with is this relationship between the rotation and the side reach. And this comes from our spine. So this is very important for spine health, not to try to isolate the two movements. If you try it, it feels aggressive and also inhibits your breathing. So with the rotation, in terms of how our spine is structured, is coupled with the side reach. So there is always a little bit of an incline. So that movement that we use, that coupling that we identified when we were shifting the weight and trying to glide over one femur head and then over the other femur head, it is evident anytime you are creating a rotation, and vice versa. Anytime you're creating a side reach, a rotation is also involved. It's also happening. So with that, happy holidays. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for joining me. I will be sharing the video on YouTube. So Zoomers, it's going to be on YouTube. And of course, I'm going to be sharing the video and notes at the Bautanz community so newsletter. So if you haven't joined us, join us. And yeah, enjoy the holidays. Have a wonderful time. And I'll see you in January 2023. Bye.